Here we go.
From the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina comes a monumental edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast, the official podcast of the epicreview.com. This is going to be a special episode. We're not going to do what we've been checking out. We're not going to do epic news. Instead, what we're going to do is count down our top 10 most anticipated films of winter and spring 2014. And we will conclude with an in-depth review of George Clooney's latest film, Monuments Man. So let's go ahead and start with the top 10 list. I published this article this week at the epicreview.com, kind of counting down the top 10 movies of spring and winter. I wrote an article last year about how summer movie season has moved up a little bit. You have these summer quality films, which I would say you would with Captain America Winter Soldier. These summer quality films moving up to earlier in the year. So we're just going to start with number 10, and here's how this is going to work. We're each going to share our number 10. We're each going to share our number 9, so on, until we get to our number 1 most anticipated movie of early 2014. We did this with summer films last year. It was a big success, so we're going to do it again.
Great success!
So, Jerry, let's start with you. What is your number 10 most anticipated film?
And just to make clear, the parameters we set were from February through the end of April.
Absolutely. Yeah, the parameters, I apologize. I should have said that. The parameters for this were February through the end of April because we deemed summer movie season to be from May 1st to Labor Day. May 1st to Labor Day is probably what we classify as summer
August.
movies.
Typically, anything in August we usually classify.
Yeah. Anything in August, which Labor Day is the beginning of September,
oh, you're right.
the first weekend in September.
Gotcha, yeah.
And the reason I say every once in a while Hollywood will try to sneak in a great movie like Shark Night 3D in there to kind of capitalize on summer movie season. You know, guys, you got to have all your bases covered. But yeah, it'll be February through April this year. So let's start with our number 10, go around.
Well, I feel like your list is the Rosetta Stone that we're working from, Brad. So why don't you do your number 10?
Okay. All right.
Andrew and I will play off of that.
Mine's the reference. I wrote the article. I guess that's fair.
Exactly.
So this is kind of going to be a more informal edition of the show than what we usually
We
put
have
out.
A formal edition, typically?
Yeah, sometimes we do.
So I can say this tie off?
Yeah, I'm not,
you can take the
I'm
tie
not
off.
wearing a cummerbund right now.
All right, so
This is the no pants edition.
my number 10...
Where's my pants?
Lego movie reference. Our number 10, number 10, most anticipated movie is Noah, starring Russell Crowe, directed by Darren Aronofsky. So that is my number 10. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that last name. Darren Aronofsky.
Aronofsky?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my number 10, guys. I think this can be a huge movie. I think it's going to do a ton of movie. It's around Easter time. It's a biblical movie. But I'm fascinated by this film because this isn't Noah straight from the Bible.
Yeah.
This is this director's Noah, who's typically known as one of the most violent directors in Hollywood.
What's this movie rated?
It's going to be PG-13.
Okay. So that will help it.
I'm very excited for it. It looks like it may have a lot of CG and stuff, but it's always interesting to me. It seems like last year was kind of the year of the White House movie. We had Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down. This year we have Noah, and then I believe we have Moses later in the year with Christian Bale playing Moses. So I think it's going to be kind of the year of the biblical film.
Is he the hero Israel needs or the hero Israel deserves?
He's both. And then there's that lower budget film, King of God, which is probably going to do very well in the South coming out, that a lot of, Christian evangelicals are excited for.
What is it called?
King of God.
Never heard of that film.
A lot of people have never heard of that film.
Now there's one called Son of God.
Is that what's coming out?
Yeah, it's like
It's my bad.
It's something about Jesus that's coming out.
Okay, but it's not on the level
King of God. What is that about? King of God.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I just didn't make it.
It's about the master builder.
It's not on the level of Passion of the Christ or anything.
Right.
That.
It's not a major Hollywood
film as
Yeah.
opposed to being a smaller studio.
With Noah, one of the things that interests me is before Darren Aronofsky could pitch this film to Warner Brothers, what he did was he said, I want this to be my vision. So he went and did a graphic novel, which was supposed to come out earlier in 2014, but now they're holding back to after the Noah film comes out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's kind of his vision for what this film's going to be. And some of the images and stuff like that provided by artist Nero Henricon and Ari Handel. I'm sure I'm butchering these names once
we should
again.
have a podcast where Brad just reads a phone book.
Where I just try to pronounce
people's names.
From
Yeah.
like Eastern Europe.
Darren Aronofsky. That's how you say his name. Darren Aronofsky.
I thought it was Aronofsky, but
Aronofsky. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not looking
Well,
at
off
it.
of his name, guys, what do you think about this film?
I think it looks horrible.
Really?
Don't want to see it. I think it looks boring.
Really?
I really do. I mean, Robin Hood was already kind of boring.
Yes, it was.
And
It's
it's
different
that was-
director, though.
Yeah.
It is. But I'll say, when I first saw this, I thought it was Ridley Scott.
Really?
At the beginning. I really did. I thought it was like, oh my god, these guys are teaming up again for this. But it does. It just looks boring. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't look interesting to me. You have the story of Noah, and you're just adding in a bunch of people fighting Noah, and it's just, I don't know. It just looks bad.
I haven't seen much for this movie. I don't have much of an opinion on it.
You're a biblical scholar, though, so I want to review this with you.
Well, I'm
hopefully.
sure we can review it with me, but I don't have a lot of opinion on the movie at this point in time. Although, the only thing I can think of is, if it's really different, and the marketing is what's going to be really interesting to watch here. If people, if studios try to market this...
I'm looking at the cast list, and I just saw Anthony Hopkins is playing Methuselah. So
That's cool. I mean, that's kind of
pretty cool.
interesting.
Emma Watson's in it,
yeah,
so
Emma
I'll watch
Watson
it.
is Noah's daughter, I guess.
No, Watson. Which one is that?
Hermione
Oh, okay.
Granger.
Sorry, I
Who
confused.
is Emma Watson?
I confuse Emma Watson and Emma Roberts, like the
Okay.
names, not the people. I like both of them, but I just confuse them a lot.
So Noah didn't make either one
Emma
of your
Stone.
top.
I don't confuse Emma Stone.
Emma Stone and
Jennifer,
Emma Watson. I don't confuse the people. I confuse the
Jennifer
names.
Connelly
Very
will
rarely.
play Noah's wife, and you said Emma Watson, the daughter, and
It's just going to be interesting to see how this is marketed. If they really do try to market this as like one of the old school biblical epics, to once again like a primarily Christian audience and really get people involved. And it turns out that's not at all what this movie is. You could see some huge backlash the next weekend.
it's either going to be backlash or big bucks.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Obviously, I haven't seen it, but I think, and I haven't seen this in the trailer, but I think the movie could really benefit from is a comic relief parrot that follows Noah around. That would be great.
That you can't go wrong with
It could
comic
be
relief
could it be
parents.
a bird of peace that goes out? Okay.
All right, so Jerry, what was your number 10 film?
My number 10 is Sabotage, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is the had to get a number 10 for this list. And I like Arnold. Once again, I just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. No rhyme or reason, really. And it looked pretty violent. I mean, really, I was
The
watching.
Red Band trailer was epic.
Oh my gosh, you're watching like these, just like people get shot, and you're like,
It's
"My
not
word."
safe for work.
Yeah, it's
Most Red Bane trailers are
yeah.
not.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's really interesting. It looks like an older Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I mean, in a sense, it looks like a
It's about drug cartels.
yeah.
right?
He's like a DEA agent or something. I don't know. I don't have a lot of reason why I put his number 10.
It's got Arnold in it.
It's
What
got
more
Arnold in it.
reason?
That's
He-
pretty much
I mean,
it.
it looks like a hard R Arnold.
I'm an easy mark
Yeah.
when it comes to the 80s action heroes.
He's dropping the F bomb. It almost kind of reminds me. Maybe this is this year's bullet to the head, Jared.
Could be.
I hope so. That's high praise, though. That's a lot of hype. Bullet to the head.
I want when the movie comes out, it says, "This year's bullet to the head, Brad Bell of the EpicReview.com." That's what
Critics are
it's saying.
calling it the new bullet to the head.
It's
That's
the-
right.
It's the bullet to the head for the 2014 generation.
Exactly right. On that quote,
I don't have a
Andrew,
lot to say.
What
about
was
it.
your number 10?
Honestly, after I just recently saw that trailer, contemplated making that my number 10.
That's
but,
an honorable mention for me as well.
Yeah.
too.
My number 10, though.
You didn't tell us we were doing honorable mentions.
You can throw that in.
Yeah, 5 honorable mentions.
Anytime.
No, I'm just kidding. Now, my number 10 is Pompeii.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. There's going to be some movies on my list that you guys are not going to...
So, there's a really good Doctor Who episode called The Fires of Pompeii.
I'm sure there are.
But
Moving on.
just having a movie about Pompeii reminds me of Seinfeld when they did the whole Hindenburg the movie. You know, because I don't know, it just seems kind of silly.
I think
It
we
seems
know how
like-
this movie is
Yeah.
going.
Well, exactly. That's what I thought when I started watching this. I'm like, I am a sucker for people doing, these kind of fake European old-timey, not old-time, but,
What
these
was the
accents.
god-awful-
Hold
No,
on,
this is
hold
pretty
on.
old-timey.
And but as I'm watching it, we're watching all this story, and I'm like, the volcano's just going to blow up and kill them all. But then I thought about a great movie that's kind of like that. I think of a couple, but Titanic really comes to mind. Where you know what's going to happen, but it didn't change what was going on. And they were able to make it where you were still, some people did survive Titanic, and you really had this drama and the suspense. I don't think this movie... I wanted to put 10 movies on my list, basically. And this seems like something I could enjoy. I like movies like Troy and Gladiator.
You love Rome, too.
I love this Rome. So I'm really a sucker for those type of things. I'm a sucker for destruction films. So I think I'm going to be entertained. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not expecting much from it.
This is going to be the Dante's Peak of this year's Dante's Peak.
It's
it's
to me this
directed-
year's something.
It's directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. He has directed such classics as Resident Evil, Death Race 3, Inferno. It was Resident Evil 6, Jerry. Hold your horses.
I love Resident Evil.
Resident Evil
There you go.
Retribution, Death Race 2, Death Race. Okay,
Yeah.
that's enough said about that
Yeah.
guy. And it's got the guy from Game of Thrones who plays Jon Snow. He's the main character. I can't remember the guy's name. We'll just call him Jon Snow. But it's got $100 million budget, so
And it shows.
yeah, it does show. It does show.
That's one of the, there's some movies, like, when we get into it, but there's
Kit
some movies that
Harington.
aren't on my list that I assume because of you two that I'm going to wind up watching anyway. And there's some movies like this where it's on my list, but I honestly don't know if I'll ever watch it. We'll see.
His name's Kit Harington.
Sure,
That's the
sure
guy.
it is.
This could be 300 for a new generation, guys.
I think there's another
I
movie on your
don't
list
think
that's
so.
like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So what's your
Spoiler
number
warning.
nine?
It would be the
Brad?
Troy
Well, number
documentary.
9 was a movie we reviewed earlier in the week, the Lego Movie, and I think
Number 9.
yeah, that was number 9. Looking back on this list,
I'm
maybe it should have
shocked
been
and
higher.
appalled.
So
Lego Movie's on my list, but it's higher as well.
Me too.
I mean, Lego Movie. We're just. Is there anything we want to say? Because
We've already reviewed it, and I mean, it's doing great.
I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So
I hope it lives up to the hype.
Me too. Number 9, Lego Movie. Let's
Everything is awesome.
go to your number 9, Jerry. What'd you?
My
want?
number 9 is 300 Rise of an Empire. Is that what it's called?
Okay, yeah.
I want it to be called 301, but
301 Spartans.
yeah. But 300 is one of those movies that I think a lot of people now look back on and say they don't like, but I still like 300. I love 300. It's exciting. It's intense. It really does a great job of bringing the look of Frank Miller's graphic novel to life. I mean, it really did a fantastic job. It was one of the most visceral, exciting movies. I saw it in the IMAX. I remember the weekend it came out.
It was
in
huge.
2007. We couldn't even get in the theater. I mean, we had to buy tickets for days in advance, and I don't remember ever having to do that with a movie, especially an R-rated film. I don't know what kind of expectations for this movie I have, but I think there's a lot to do with that time period. There's a lot to do with Greek warfare. I'm sure there's some really good stories to be told, so I just like to see, an entertaining, really stylish action film.
Now, if I may crap on everything you just said.
All right.
I love 300. And spoiler alert, this movie is not on my list anyway.
Okay, that's what I was curious.
Not on my list at all. All right? I love 300. And I love the stylistic choices that they did with 300.
Zack Snyder, man.
One of the things I even like more about the stylistic choices is, in case you haven't seen 300, spoilers are about to be had. the whole movie of 300 is a flashback.
Yes.
It's this one Spartan telling these other Spartans about what happened.
And it's like the unreliable narrator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's his version of what happened. He's doing two things when he's telling this story. One, he's trying to pump up the troops that he's talking to. He's going to make the Spartans look better than maybe what they were. He's going to make the Persians and that whole empire look worse than maybe, or even worse than what they are. And two, he's this guy who spent most of his life, or his entire life up to this point, in this one area of the world. And he has gone through this experience where he's the Persian Empire had all these different things that these Spartans have never seen before, and he had to try and wrap his mind around it. And I think if you watch 300, and keep in mind this is this one Greek soldier's idea of what happened, and he's telling it in a way that he's trying to pump up the other Spartan soldiers, I think it makes the movie even better, in my opinion. And with that said, what it looks like to me in 300 Rise of an Empire is they're kind of undoing that, in that they're having these same stylistic choices, but it looks like it's just how things are. Xerxes really looks like that, and some of these crazy things are really like that in this universe.
I have heard a little bit that there's storytelling in this one as well.
I hope so, because there seems in the trailer that there's a little bit of over narration.
So I'm wondering if that will be the same.
Sense in and of itself.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to wait to hold judgment. But from what I've seen, I'm not looking forward to it because of that. It can still be fun, but we'll see. I hope it doesn't kind of negatively reflect, on the 300 movie, the original one.
So what's your number?
My number 9 is Draft Day.
Oh,
Draft
great.
Day.
That was on my honorable mention.
Really?
Right there.
It looks pretty cool. It's fiction when it's a movie about the Browns having a good team. But a future good team.
Well, they're picking high in the draft.
Right.
That's pretty realistic.
So, yeah, that is realistic. But, it just looks cool. I'm a football fan. It looks like they have a lot of... They have a close working with the NFL as far as licensing goes.
I'm hyped.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks like it's kind of like a football spin on Moneyball almost. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which
got Kevin Costner in it.
Yeah, I think it looks entertaining.
Seriously,
I don't know.
Sports. What?
Probably won't watch it.
Didn't even watch the Super Bowl. Jared didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, I watched all 3 RoboCop movies.
Save it. We probably won't watch it. I probably won't watch Draft Day in theaters. I don't see that happening.
I
will.
Even if I go by.
I guess it depends on what. I guess it depends on what comes out around that time.
See it, so.
Okay, it depends on what comes out. I'm not sure exactly when it comes out.
April 11th.
What else comes out on April 11th?
I think that's the big movie that
Well, then I might go on up seeing it.
There may be this.
We'll review it for you guys.
It'd probably still be getting beat down by Divergent at that point.
Okay, but that's my number 9. It looks good. I look like I'd be entertained by it.
I like it because, like you said, it's got the NFL license. The NFL is backing it. And we see so many of these football films like Any Given Sunday. Well, we know they're talking about the NFL. However, they don't have the rights. NFL is not giving them their blessing. This time they have. And it's Kevin Costner. And I'm an NFL draft junkie. I'm a draft geek. I look over mock drafts. Of course, a lot of that has had to do with our team, the Carolina Panthers, being terrible the past couple of years until finally this year. Yeah. They're not picking like in the top 10 in the draft. So, I love draft stuff. I'm pumped for that. That's a good pick, Andrew.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our number 8 film. My number 8 film, and that is what I think could possibly be the next Fast and the Furious, and maybe a Fast and the Furious for a new generation, which is Need for Speed, out March 14th, directed by Scott Waugh, starring Aaron Paul and Dominic Cooper, who is Tony Stark's dad, Howard, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've seen a couple trailers for it and everything. I think it's going to be well done. The question is, can it be its own thing, or is it going to try to do the Fast and the Furious all over again? Because we don't need to see that. I think what made the Fast and the Furious films so good is when they transitioned from being car racing movies, from being truly epic heist films. And it's gonna. What will this film be? Will it be more of a heist film? Will it be more of a car-based film? It's going to be interesting to see.
I think it's going to be a
directions they
bomb,
take.
is what it's going to
A
be.
bomb? Really?
Oh my gosh!
They're converting it to 3D, Jerry.
Oh,
A
I
last
don't
second
know,
conversion to 3D.
That will help some of the money, I guess. But, I mean, I don't know. Again, I didn't spend too much time looking at exactly when these movies came out on all these lists.
I got you covered. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'll look them up.
All right.
Well, I mean, just to see what else is around it. I think it could do well.
So it's a movie.
It's the big movie.
I'm interested to see how Aaron Paul does, coming off of Breaking Bad stuff.
Based on a
Yeah.
video game.
But no, it's
That
just the name of the video game.
Well,
It's not-
exactly. I mean, that's usually, to me, that usually symbolizes something that's pretty weak. It's a video game franchise with no care. I mean, with like few to no characters, if there are any characters in Need for Speed.
Not with any.
I don't think
as far as I know,
there's
not in any continuity.
Yeah.
There may have been a game where
Like
there's
with
some more
someone's
characters.
name or something.
Right.
This is probably a script that just got shuffled around
Yeah.
until a studio picked up the rights for to have the game name to use for marketing.
real quick, I'm going to look and see what's coming out that week. It comes out March 18th. That's what I have it listed on my March 14th, excuse me.
I forgive you.
That weekend, Need for Speed comes out. There's really the Veronica Mars movie comes out. That's a real limited release, and unless you've watched that TV show, you're
Yeah,
not
but
going
that
to
was the
see
one that was fun. I mean, I don't know how big it's going to be, but that was the one completely funded through Kickstarter.
Yeah. So they're not going to be a
So-
real wide release. The problem is that next weekend, Divergent comes out. So even if Need for Speed is this kind of okay movie, it'll get knocked down.
I think
quick.
there's always a market for those kind of movies, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, people love these
They
racing
do like
type
car
movies.
racing.
They
Yeah.
make decent money. Even the bad Fast and the Furious movies, which there's only one bad one, Too Fast, Too Furious, in my
Right.
opinion.
I agree. That's the
And
only bad.
That's the only bad one, which is terrible, but it made a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's just, they got to be their own thing. And
Yeah.
no, it's not household names, but Aaron Paul and Dominic Cooper, they can
Aaron
be
Paul's pretty
interesting.
popular, and I think he's considered a good actor for off of, like, again, Breaking Bad. I'm interested in seeing it. I honestly think it could at least be fun.
This would be one you're going to want to see, though, right? I mean, you, Andrew, will. Jerry, I guess, doesn't necessarily want to see it. He's yawning.
We'll see.
Okay, Jerry, what was your number 8 film?
My number 8 is Oculus.
Oculus.
It is a horror film that has Karen Gillan in it, who just got off of her run. Well, I guess last year off her run from Doctor Who. She was the Doctor's major companion over the last few years. And it just looks really good. It looks really creepy. It's been getting some great early reviews, some good early
When's
buzz.
this come out? Do you know?
I do not know.
Yeah, I saw.
April 11th.
I
Yeah,
haven't actually seen a trailer for this movie yet. I've heard of it, but I can't really comment. I haven't seen a trailer for it or anything. I love horror movies, so
yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, just very creepy. Very unusual. So I'm interested in seeing it.
okay.
It's got Karen Gillan in it.
Brad, have you seen the trailer?
Get me in the
No,
theater.
I've not seen. I don't think I've seen a trailer. It's not from WWE Studios, is it? Oculus. I'm gonna double check.
I have
that.
no idea.
We'll see.
If it is,
See
that's
no
not
evil
a good
too.
sign. I don't. Just double checking. I don't think so. WWE Studios. No, I don't believe. Yes, it is. It's a WWE Studios film.
Good
Jerry,
luck.
Okay,
That is terrible.
which
That is not a good
surprised
sign.
me. I think I do remember maybe seeing that now in the trailer because it didn't look anything like what I think about. But
I thought it was Jerry. We saw this trailer before
Yes,
Awkward Moment. Abby and I did.
Okay.
And when it came up there, it said WWE, and I knew it was a horror film. I thought it was See No Evil too.
This sounds familiar. I think I might have actually seen the trailer now too. I feel like I saw a WWE Films trailer
and it's supposed to
recently.
be just get some really great early. I mean, once again, none of those movies got great early buzz. But they
It
get
was-
some really good early buzz. I've seen actually a couple reviews of it that have been really positive.
What was that Stone Cold film they put out? I thought that was pretty
The
good.
Condemned.
Yeah,
that
that
what it
was,
was?
a really
That was
good.
actually good.
I mean, not really good. It
Sure.
was enjoyable. It came.
I'd
remember
watch it again.
We saw that. I own it on Blu-ray. We saw that the week
God.
before Spider-Man 3 came out. And we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. But next week, Spider-Man 3 comes out. It ended up being a better movie than
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
I'd rather
3.
see that before Spider-Man 3 again.
So that's
my
my
God.
number 8.
All right, what about you?
My
Andy?
number 8 is actually Need for Speed as well.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I honestly looked at your list originally, wrote down some ideas, haven't looked at it since. I didn't realize that was your number 8. I thought it was actually a little higher on your list. That's my number remember it as well, so I've already kind of, it looks like it could be fun, but we'll see.
All right, I'm going to move on to my number 7. I have 300 Rise of Empire out March 7th, directed by Norman Morrow and produced by Zack Snyder as my number 7. And all I'm going to say about this is I like the first 300 okay. I don't love it. I enjoyed it more originally than I did when I went back and saw it. And I'm just more curious about this. Can it be?
Yeah.
I want to, instead of anticipating actually seeing the movie, I'm more curious, can it be a good movie?
Yeah.
Kind of like Andrew was.
Yeah, this is one of those movies. It's not on my list, but I'm sure I'm going to go wind up seeing it in theaters. So.
Yeah, just with that 300 name.
Do y'all want to try to watch the first 299 before the next one comes out?
I'm
absolutely.
at about 157 right now. So
we're having a marathon after this.
That sounds good.
I want to see.
I have to go home at some point, guys.
I want to see if it's a Zack Snyder. Like, is his fingerprints on? Is it going to be action?
His fingerprints are already on it.
I
That's
still
true.
like to run around the house, like doing random things, and then slow it down, and then do it like really fast, like
Here's the question.
I would say I was doing slow motion before it was cool. Right?
Yeah.
In high school, I had two guys. One who was my quote unquote rival, where we as we passed each other in the hallway.
Was his name Gary?
Flash
I forget who it was.
Thompson.
But in the hallway, we would catch each other's eyes, and as we got close to each other, we'd stop and walk in slow motion, stare at each other.
But then he'd move really fast. Like past
We
each other.
did.
Yeah.
We really did. As soon as we got right next to each other, we'd walk really fast again. And I had a similar one, but we did like a high five.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Here's
we
the
did
question.
that.
Will it be better than Sucker Punch? Yes.
Yeah,
Probably so.
don't pick
I
much.
imagine so.
Okay, Jerry, what's your number 7?
My number 7 was Monuments Men, which we're going to talk about later. I was really looking forward to this movie. I know it got delayed. I mean, it was going to come out in the winter.
December 8th.
Yeah, come out in December, because I remember over Thanksgiving I was staying with some family members and watching John Goodman talk about this film. I just was really excited about it.
On Letterman.
Yeah, on Letterman. It sounded like looked like a good, great cast. Bill Murray, John Goodman, Bob Balaban, George Clooney, Matt Damon, Cate Blanchett. So I was really excited to see it. So we'll talk about it later. But it was number 7 on my list.
All right, Andrew.
Number 7 on my list. We've already talked about it as well. Lego Movie.
Lego movie.
Looked really good.
Reviewed it earlier this week.
Yeah,
So
so you already know what I really think about it.
Yeah,
But I was really anticipating this film. Good cast.
Everything
good
is
concept.
awesome.
that's all I'll say. Tune into that podcast. If
Yeah, go
you wanna
back.
Know about it.
If it's still up.
It will be. It should
Okay.
be still up. All right. My number 6 is Monuments Man, which we're going to review in depth later in this podcast. So, Jerry Reed, what was your number 6?
My number 6 is The Quiet Ones. This is a horror movie that's coming out.
Is this the one we saw a preview with I, Frankenstein?
Yes, that
Okay.
looks.
It's someone with like the old timey film and the kids. And
Yes, that looks kind of
Yeah.
creepy, kind of interesting. So
We'll
What,
see,
do you
but
know the release date on that?
I don't know the release date offhand, but
April 25th. So
I'm
that's
more
usually...
I'm more interested in seeing it than a lot of other movies. So
I'm really, now that I think about it, if I had to redo this list, I think that I would take out 300 Rise of the Empire and put the Quiet Ones on there.
Really?
Because I really looked interested.
you
in that
did. I
film.
was looking at you.
Yeah, he
You
was
look-
looking.
You
I
look
was
very
really looked
interested.
interested.
You look interested
I
right
don't
now.
know. I'm always.
Brad's like, "Is this the Conjuring 2?" And I was like,
No, I wasn't. I knew it wasn't.
And then he
The
stopped
Conjuring.
looking interested.
But I was thinking, could this be? I don't. It will never probably live up to The Conjuring, but could this kind of be this year's kind of out of nowhere horror
Yeah.
film, which could happen.
It could be.
And it looks very good. April 25th, and that weekend before summer, there's usually always something that weekend before summer hits, even though it doesn't have long legs, because you have like Spider-Man coming to knock it out or whatever, fill in the blank. There's something there. The Condemned was like that. One of the Fast and the Furious movies was like that. Like that weekend before is always something pretty decent. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's directed by John Pro.
I am so much more likely to take a risk on a horror film and just go watch it because I always find that I enjoy the experience, even if it's not a good movie.
Yeah, I feel you.
I
Versus
hear you.
any other kind of movie. I don't
You
know.
literally hear it sometimes in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the trailer for it. I don't know, looks kind of typical horror kind of stuff. I don't know.
Cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah, almost. I mean, it looks like I would be entertained watching it, but it didn't really do too much for me. But I mean, if you guys want to see it, I'll probably go with you as long as you wait for me.
What was your number 6, Andrew?
My number 6 is one I think you guys will be surprised of. It was already mentioned earlier in this podcast, so by the wrong name. Son of God is actually my number 6. I think it looks...
King of God, you mean? Right?
Yeah, no, you mean King of God. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not a typical person who likes to go see these religious films. But, I don't know, it looks like it's just a retelling of, of Jesus' life.
Is it?
And it looks like it has some production value that some Christian films and religious films in general can kind of lack. And I think some of the scenes looked really cool. And obviously I know basically, the whole story.
And we know our local theater's getting it because we saw a poster there today.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm actually... The first time I saw that trailer, I was surprised I hadn't heard of it before. Because I only saw it like a couple weeks ago. I'm looking forward to it. And that's my number 6.
It doesn't focus on the crucifixion, right?
Right. Yeah. It's not this specialized thing. It doesn't... I don't know. It's...
And it could... I mean, once again, I don't know what kind of release, if it's a wide release or
February
something.
28th, it comes out. It's 138 minutes, directed by Chris Spencer.
That's long. I don't know about that.
That is not long.
We'll see. But I mean,
God's whole life in there, man.
I mean, it looks like it would...
Or the Son of God.
not the King of God.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this cast list, and there's nobody I recognize. The director, I believe this is the first film he's ever directed, so I'm expecting kind of crappy production value out of this.
Well, I mean, production value, just looking at the trailer, looks good. I mean, some of the scenes, there's a scene where he's walking on water in the middle of the storm. Looks good. I mean,
I just feel like I'm not trying to discourage anyone from making any biblical films. I was looking forward to Noah. I'm looking forward to Moses with Christian Bale. But it's just... Christ was done so well in Passion of the Christ. It's like the quintessential.
That's a
biblical
hard
film.
movie to recommend everybody, though, because, I mean, it's so violent that if you're trying to do something that appeals to kids,
That's true.
I mean, it's not trying to say that you can't, share that information with them, but...
And it's very specific as well.
It's very specific.
It's about the crucifixion.
Yeah,
whereas this is kind of telling the whole story. We've seen that plenty of times in other movies and miniseries.
They're going to start at birth, like Bethlehem, and then go through like experiences of his younger life.
I'm not sure where it starts, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's a gritty reboot of
Christ.
Yeah. He actually winds up killing the Roman emperor at the end.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
All right, guys, we're into the top 5 now.
All right.
Let's go ahead
Buckle down.
Start with my number 5. Stop with it. No pun intended. It is Nonstop.
Oh, God.
Coming out February 28th, directed by Joan Colette Serra. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Now, this is his first film as well. To me, it's Liam Neeson being Liam Neeson. And it pretty much looks like Taken on a plane.
Fair enough.
And it looks, I know what kind of film it's going to be. It's going to be a mindless action film. Probably, most likely.
Hopefully.
And I'm excited for this, guys. I see this trailer, and when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was the trailer for Taken 3.
Yeah, you did say that.
And
out loud.
Yeah,
I was there.
People looked at him.
And not that I love the Taken movies, but by the way, he is doing Taken 3. They're paying him $20 million.
But didn't he say, like, if he did Taken 3, there had to be nobody taken in the movie or something?
Exactly right. That's the truth, yeah.
So it's kind of like Die Hard. Once he gets to the third one, the kind of concept is getting out of
People
there.
are still dying hard, though.
What
Yes.
what do you think about this film, though?
I mean, it doesn't look bad. I'm not sure it's going to be one that I'm going to want to rush out to see, or it's kind of movie I probably would wait till Netflix. But
Really?
I'll probably stop before I see this film. Think about it.
Okay. You guys like these type of stereotypical action films usually.
I think I could see it, enjoy it. I kind of feel like, Jerry, I would wait till it's on Netflix. I do feel like this is one of those movies, not on my list, that I'm going to wind up seeing, probably because you want to see it. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not expecting too much from it. I feel like it could get boring at the end, or it could get dumb when they I'm sure there's some sort of twist. This seems set up for a twist, and I'm sure this is the type of movie where the twist could just be dumb. Turns out it was a stewardess the whole time.
they're not really on a plane.
They're in a spaceship.
I'm looking forward to it, though, guys. So what's your number 5, Jerry?
Transcendence.
That low? Okay. Go ahead.
Is that the
Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that movie looks really.
Wally Fisk.
Yes, that movie looks really interesting, Brad. You're much more the expert on it than I am, but I'm really excited. It looks like a different genre film.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll be talking about that one a little later on in this podcast.
Yeah, I think y'all probably have it on your list somewhere along the way.
I think so, huh?
All right,
But I have it as number 5.
Number 5, Andrew. What's your number?
My number 5 is Monuments Men, which we will definitely be talking about later in the podcast.
We'll be reviewing that. So
World War II film, good cast, good concept, looks really good.
What could go wrong?
Stay tuned for that. Now, we're into the top 4. Number 4 is the RoboCop reboot coming out February 12th, which by the time this podcast hits, it will have been out. It's directed by Jose Podilla.
Yep, that's how you say it. That's exactly how you pronounce it.
Jose Podilla. Now, I'm excited for this movie because I love this property, loved it growing up. It's got Sam Jackson, Gary Oldman, and Michael Keaton in a RoboCop film.
Miguel Ferrer is in this, who was the guy who created the RoboCop project in the original film.
Really?
He's the guy that says, "You're a bad mother." To RoboCop when he's waking up.
Oh, really? He's in this?
Yes, he's in this movie.
He just a cameo, or does he play a
I don't
part,
know.
or?
I don't know, but he's listed as being in this film.
Wally, also in this movie. Cameo role, though.
I just hope
10 seconds to comply. 9, 8.
I just hope with this film is instead of trying to do the original over again in a slicker, newer version, I hope they try to do a little bit different story, which I don't know if they are with the ED-209.
I feel that there might be because of all the Samuel L. Jackson parts about how would people really feel if, you
feel like they are rebooting it straight, or they're...
Well, they are rebooting it straight, but I feel like they're going to really maybe go in a different direction because in the last movie, in the original films, people seem to...
Good one.
What?
As opposed to rebooting it gay. You said they're
Okay,
rebooting
all right.
it straight.
That was my terminology.
Okay. So anyways,
Good one, man.
I think that Samuel L. Jackson, his role is talking about...
Robophobic.
Yeah, how people are robophobic. That, once again, what are we talking about? We're talking about drones these days. We're talking about all of these things that are being automated. And I'm hoping if the movie does what the original RoboCop did, that it'll actually address the issue of having, automated things to do jobs where there's judgment calls involved.
Yeah, I saw there was
where
some...
there's morality and ethics involved.
I went to the mall the other day. There was these auto stairs I saw. Crazy. Blew my mind. Didn't know what to do.
The original RoboCop is more about a machine discovering he's a man.
Yes.
Right? And this film seems like he knows the whole time that he is still a man, right?
Whereas any movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger is about a man who discovers he's a machine.
That's right. And
there's a musical here somewhere.
Yeah.
Does it still appeal? I mean, back in '87, they hadn't seen anything like that. Does this, in like a post-Iron Man world, does this really appeal? Does it bring people to the box office, you think?
I think it just looks cool.
Yeah, I think
RoboCop's still a name to some degree.
I believe in RoboCop.
I believe in RoboCop, too. And we're obviously going to have an in-depth review of this one. And I just hope they do something a little different with it. I really do. All right, Jerry, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is a little film called The Raid 2. Finally saw The Raid Redemption this morning. So I've seen 3 movies today. The day of recording this podcast, actually I've seen 4.
Going behind the scenes
because
here, folks.
When I went to bed last night, which I got home late from an event I was at, I watched Airplane. Woke up early, watched The Raid Redemption on Blu-ray, then went and saw the double feature of the Lego Movie and Monuments Men with you guys. So I've watched 4 movies today.
And after this, we're going to go to the drive-in in the middle of,
and do a double
February.
Feature. So anyways, The Raid was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to The Raid 2. Know hardly anything about the sequel, but it's already sold me because the first one was probably one of the most awesome movies I've ever seen. Just an action movie, just amazing.
I have a feeling we may talk about it more in this podcast.
I think we will.
Too.
All right, Andrew, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is The Raid 2.
Exactly.
It really
High five.
is. Honestly, after watching the trailer, almost feel like when The Raid 2 comes out, I want to watch a subbed version rather than a dubbed version. I think it looks really cool. It looks better than the first one.
I thought about that. Did you guys watch the dubbed version?
I watched the dub.
I didn't know there was a dubbed version. I watched the subbed version. Wait, it looked awesome. It looked epic.
No, I'm talking about of the original Raid.
Oh, the original I watched it dubbed.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, okay.
Because I was kind of thinking about that. I mean, usually I prefer to watch a movie subtitled, not dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
But with a movie like that where the focus is on the action, I think the subtitles would have taken away. I mean, you really just wanted to pay attention to the action.
Honestly, I didn't know going into when I watched the first Raid. I didn't know it was a foreign language film, honestly. So when they started, speaking in the
Indonesian film,
and I wasn't expecting that. Some of the voices, I don't know. I didn't get to hear the original voices. Some of the voices did bug me.
This is
of the Raid.
I just enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed the Raid as much as these two guys, but I really liked it. The second one looks to be even better. I think it looks.
You just
Looks
gotta
cool.
hope in the case of the Raid 2 that it gets a wider release.
It does look like in the Raid 2 there's going to be more story maybe than the first one had.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to feel about that.
I liked the minimalism of the first movie.
Yeah.
You just sort of...
It accepts what it is.
Yeah,
right?
you just kind of take it as you go.
Yeah, because the plot was already a bit of a stretch to begin with. So if they had delved too much into it, I think I would have liked it less. And that does kind of worry me about the second one. But the trailer looked good. The first one was good. It gives me faith enough to put this as number 4 on my list.
Okay, let's go on to the top 3. Number 3, I have Captain America: The Winter Soldier out April 4th, directed by the Russo brothers. Now, I'm really excited for this movie. This is a summer quality release. Truly a summer quality release at the first weekend in April. People are saying, including Ed Brubaker, who's a little biased, obviously, because he wrote the Captain America Winter Soldier storyline, said this is the greatest Marvel film, Avengers included, ever made. People are saying, besides Ed Brubaker, this is not a superhero movie. It's a political thriller. You have Anthony Mackie saying it's Avengers 1.5, that it really is a game changer, dynamic game changer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it sounds like something that we kind of all wanted in Iron Man 3. We wanted it to be pushed to a more level of seriousness, right?
Yes.
Or at least a level of high stakes in an individual solo superhero movie. And I think we're going to get into deeper issues than your typical superhero movie here. How much is too much government interference in your life? We talk about the Patriot Act and things like that. And I believe it will be kind of an old school hero coming to the realization of the new school way of doing things in the United States government. Guys, I'm absolutely pumped for this. I know y'all were probably surprised it wasn't my number 1 film. I guess you guys are pretty excited for it too, I would imagine, right?
Or maybe it's not on our lists yet.
Really? Okay.
Maybe I'm going to see it, but it's not on my list at all.
All right, Jerry, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a movie we already saw, which is Lego Movie. I was really looking forward to it.
Apparently.
I was not at all disappointed, and...
Spoilers.
We did a whole podcast about this. So.
And there'll be a review that has been written for it, too.
Yes.
It'll be up on the site this week. All right, Andrew.
What number are we on?
Number 3.
My number 3 is RoboCop. I really, between the Raid 2 and this one, really went back and forth, honestly. RoboCop just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Not expect too much. Looks like it's going to be more fun. I have more faith that it's going to be more fun, like Need for Speed or something. It looks like there's going to be some really cool stuff in this movie. We'll see. It has the potential to also not live up to its potential, I feel like.
Any of these reboots, maybe this would be something better served to get into on the RoboCop podcast, but any of these reboots, like the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like any of these reboots, I know those are all horror ones, maybe it's bad examples, they seem to be one and done. Like, not Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I guess they did the beginning and all that. But it's like they reboot this franchise. It doesn't do what they think. They set up the film for a sequel, and it never gets made. I guess that's my greatest fear heading into RoboCop.
As long as it's a standalone film,
But they never are. They always set something up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something after the credits on this one, honestly. It seems like that kind of thing where they shove something there.
There's been a great RoboCop, but there hasn't truly been a great RoboCop sequel. So hopefully this series can give us that. That's what I'm hoping for.
And then they can reboot Terminator, and we could finally have RoboCop versus Terminator on the big screen.
They are rebooting Terminator.
Yeah, they are.
Well, there you go.
Terminator. Yep.
The plot's in
with
motion.
Arnold again, but it's a reboot.
Yep.
Oh, so
the
Terminator's
real Arnold,
older?
not the fake one that didn't say a word like in Salvation.
Oh, it'll be Bach.
All right,
Come
let's
with me if
move
you
on
want
to
to
the
not die.
top.
Who's that
two.
naked guy up there?
Yeah.
All the
Number
kids
2
said.
on my list is Transcendence, out April 17th, directed by Wally Pfister. Let's be honest. One of the main reasons I'm so excited for this movie is because this is a Christopher Nolan acolyte here.
Mm-hmm.
Wally Pfister. All right, this guy has been one of the best, if not the best, cinematographers in Hollywood the past decade. His work is beautiful. Just the fact that he was able to shoot The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises in IMAX, and it ended up being so beautiful, and so many films like Skyfall and things like that have went for that look. We know it's going to be a beautiful looking film. I also think it's going to be an epic film. It sounds like such a unique premise, right? It deals with technology in our lives, how much is to technology, the growth of AI, the kind of realization of a singularity, just when AI can be overtake for a human, right? Their brain can be uploaded, and essentially a person can never die. And it deals with people kind of accepting that, the use of technology and ways and means as it's used in this film. And we have cyber terrorists, so you deal with the people who are pro-technology, pro-AI, to extremists who want to do whatever it takes at any cost to keep something like that from happening. And it seems like an Inception or something like that. It seems like a very Chris Nolan type film where they're taking a risk, albeit with very established actors like Rebecca Hall, Johnny Depp, and Morgan Freeman. But it's such a genre bender, it sounds like. And I think it could be one of those truly original films that we don't see many of this year.
I'm excited for it.
I know. It was on, well, Andrew, it may be on your list.
What was that? Bruce Willis.
Looper.
Yeah, that was a great one. All right, Jerry, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a little movie called RoboCop, because I am not robophobic. And let's be honest, I've always wanted to see a RoboCop movie in theaters. Obviously, my parents are great parents, but they did not take me to see RoboCop.
First ever film.
Which was good. Which was probably good because I was like 4 when it came out, and that's a very, very bloody, violent movie.
Jerry, the first ever film I can remember seeing,
Yeah.
being there at the movies to see, well, I'd have been 3 years old, I believe, is RoboCop 2 at the drive-in.
Oh my gosh!
Now, my parents took me to see RoboCop 2 at the drive-in.
One of the first films I can remember seeing is Stephen King's It.
Dang.
So, and I had a nightmare off that movie that I still remember to this day.
Well, I do remember we had some. My parents just I wasn't really allowed to watch R-rated movies. Probably until middle school, started watching some like Stephen King stuff and maybe some action movies. First R-rated movie I saw in theaters was Con Air. My dad had seen it and was like, "Okay, yeah, you can go see it." So it took me to see Con Air, and that was just such a big
movie. I think.
I love Con Air, man. So such a memory for me.
Nicolas Cage's accent.
But so we
Oh,
went to a
goodness.
neighbor's house, and I think these neighbors let their kids watch whatever because this kid was younger than me, and
Jeffrey Dahmer.
yeah. My parents are sitting there eating dinner with the family, and this kid's like, "Hey, come downstairs." Like, walk upstairs. He's like, "I'm watching RoboCop." I'm like, "This looks cool," because I knew the RoboCop. I was excited.
It's a robot cop.
And yeah. And anyways, it was the ED-209 scene where he just drills the guy, and I'm like, I remember my teeth chattering, which was like my my physical response to terror as a child, and it just freaked me out. So I didn't have any interest in watching it for years. It really is very. I mean, it's still just very violent. Has an impact.
Yeah, I really wish this new one, the reboot's gonna be rated R, but I mean, it could still be good in PG-13.
Absolutely. So.
We'll see.
But that's a property you love. So
I love
no shock.
RoboCop, man. RoboCop, Terminator, Predator, Alien. I don't know,
Any
man.
of that kind of
All those stuff that when
stuff.
I was a kid were just that to me is interesting. That these properties that were based on R-rated movies, when I was a kid, I hadn't even seen those movies. But maybe it was because they had toys. Maybe it was because
there's a cartoon, wasn't there?
Yeah,
RoboCop?
there was a cartoon, RoboCop and the Ultra Police. But those things just were just like so cool and iconic. It's like, man, when I grow up, I can watch RoboCop movies. Well,
Super Bowl
now
Sunday.
I'm a grown man and I'm going to go watch a RoboCop movie
in theaters
on Valentine's Day with my wife. We're going to watch RoboCop.
Oh, how
Last year was Die Hard. So.
Well, very fitting. What's number 2 for you, Andrew?
My number 2 is also Transcendence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
It looks really good. I can't wait. I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it to me.
Never heard of The Raid either. We never seen
No, I heard of
The
The
Raid.
Raid. I heard of it. I just haven't seen it. Looks really good. Looks really good. I love the idea. It's an original kind of concept. It just...
It looks...
It looks good.
It could be on a top 10
I
of
don't
the year
remember what
thing.
happened. I can't remember what happened in the trailer, but I actually got goosebumps from the trailer at one scene. There was
It
something...
said from Christopher Nolan's cinematographer. You got goosebumps.
No, I fell
Right,
asleep a
was that
little bit
it?
at that point.
Okay.
But no, it was. I think because if you watch the trailer, you know that early on Johnny Depp's character bites the bullet. No pun intended. I think there's a scene with the wife where she's kind of grieving, and it got me. It gave me goosebumps. Looks really good. Can't wait to see it. Cannot wait to see it.
I'm really pumped too. My number 2 as well. April 17th. Now let's move on. Da-da-da-da! We're to our number 1 most anticipated movie of winter spring 2014.
Number 1.
Is for me The Raid 2, out March 28th, directed by Gareth Evans. Love The Raid. I do
Directed by
think
Gareth Evans.
Yeah, Gareth Evans.
It's a very
He directed,
American sounding name.
He directed
He's
some segments
Welsh?
on
Is he
VHS.
Welsh?
I
I think
don't
I
know.
read that he was Welsh.
Did he direct the first one?
Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
He directed
Good for him,
a segment of VHS. He didn't direct
Which one did he direct?
Really?
Give me a second and I'll find it. But I'm really excited for this movie. I do think that the original Raid was one of the best action movies of this decade.
Best
this past
fight
decade.
scenes. Everything was so clear and you could see everything.
Oh man, honestly,
choreography.
there were
was
some
great.
parts to that I just got. I don't know. There were some parts that I just didn't care for.
Real quick, he directed. You know what?
Succubus scene?
Which one he directed? VHS 2.
Which
Did
one?
you see VHS?
Oh, I haven't
2
seen the
yet?
second one.
Oh, he directed the most disturbing
I've seen
VHS
both.
sequence ever. You've seen it?
Whisper it to me,
It's,
Jerry.
it's Safe Haven. I'm not giving any.
Okay.
It's the one about the cult, the Indonesian cult.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, one of the more
Does he
disturbing.
live
ones.
in Indonesia?
I don't know. I don't believe
He goes there to film, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but
To Middle Indonesia.
anyway, back to the Raid. It's just.
The first one, I haven't seen the second one. The first one, there were some scenes that bugged me. Not some scenes, just little things. Some of the lines were really cheesy. One of the lines, unless I heard it wrong, made absolutely no sense at all. I have no idea why it was even.
I didn't know
there.
anything, so
Remember
maybe
what
you
the
just
line
made no
was?
sense.
Do what?
What was the
that
line?
line was basically one of the cops says to this one guy, he goes, "There are good cops out there," and he said, "If I believed that, I wouldn't have helped you."
Oh, he said, yeah,
That's
he
what he
said,
said.
they're
I'm
good-
like-
he said, if I hadn't believed that, I wouldn't have helped you.
If I hadn't believed that, I wouldn't have helped you. Is that what he said?
Yes.
Okay.
I just watched it this morning.
I
All
mean,
right.
some people are
But
calling
there's-
this the Raid 2, who have seen it at Sundance because it was released at the Sundance 2014 Film Festival. The greatest action film of all time, bar none. Surpasses Die Hard, surpasses Terminator 2. That is some hefty praise.
That's hefty praise, but bring it on. I'll watch it.
Andrew, were you going to say something else about
Well,
the Raid
there's
2?
also like there's one part in the first raid where these two guys are chasing one of the officers, and they climb up the outside of like this balcony for a reason I still can't comprehend. They didn't get up there. They didn't get up there until the two other guys that took the stairs got up there. They didn't get up there any faster. They did nothing. It was cool looking. But
And
it
then we
was,
saw another guy hanging from a balcony. It took a guy out. And was really helpful. So maybe
but then they were climbing up the side. There was no way to take out but the one guy. And it's like when he got up to the second floor, he just ran past them, and they didn't get up until the other guys had already run up the stairs.
I guess they were trying.
It was just pointless. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool, but it's kind of pointless.
Think
I
about
don't
it.
like when action movies do stuff like that, where I'm like, oh, why are those guys doing that? Oh, for no reason.
Think about it, though. Every great action movie in
a
a
horrible
sequel
decision.
tries to up the ante. Bigger, better action.
Let's say,
Can you imagine that? Upping the ante of the Raid 1? Holy crap.
the Raid did have some great, fantastic action scenes. And some of them, there were some pretty long shots of kind of continuous action that
Yes.
are really cool. I honestly think... so I watch a bit of professional wrestling, and there was some stuff that went on in that movie that I'm like, if they could do this in a wrestling ring, the same kind of like acting where I don't know, I think it could translate well to that kind of thing. It just, some of it was just really cool. It's kind of nonstop action. Some of the scenes were, and I don't know. Some of it was like a little bit of it was a little hokey almost, but there was some really cool scenes.
I almost wanted to bail on you guys today for the movie double feature to watch The Raid 2 more times.
Really?
That's how much I liked it. Yeah. I was
it
watching
is
3 times in a
good.
row.
It's one that you can watch multiple
Over and
viewings.
over. And I definitely see the comparisons to Dredd. They're very different movies, but they have a same premise there.
Yeah, they do.
But I like both of them.
To me, it kind of reminds me of the Umbak Thai Warrior. Really cool action scenes. I'm not sure how many times I would watch it, but I mean, it was really cool. I'd watch it again, definitely.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That's a lot of
but
people's number one most anticipated movie of the
I'm
year.
gonna-
Yeah, a lot of
overall.
people. You, one other
No,
guy.
not of the year for me. That's not of the
Oh,
year.
of the
This-
year, of the year.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
All right.
But, okay, that's my number one. Jerry Reed, what's your number one?
My number one is Captain America, the Winter Soldier. For everything that you've already said, I'm really looking forward to it. Captain America is definitely one of my favorites of the Marvel films that have come out. I would say it's probably up there for me with Iron Man 2, which I really like Iron Man 2.
I like it.
I know a lot of people don't like Iron Man 2, but it's up there
I'll
for me.
still argue the first hour of Iron Man 2
Oh, yeah, I agree.
is the best part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The first hour is the
That's-
most well-done
But
filmmaking.
Captain
that falls
America
apart.
might be my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films.
Really?
Yes.
And the Winter Soldier is one of the best storylines, one of the best villains. There's so much personal stuff at stake for Cap. We'll just leave it at that. Very well deserved number one. Andrew, what's your number one?
My number one is I, Frankenstein. Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's top movies of January I'll never see. Sorry. My number one is Captain America: Winter Soldier. For the same reasons you guys have already said. It looks great. Captain America, I think, is, if I was ranking the Marvel movies, probably number 3. A lot of people didn't like Captain America for some reason, relative to other
I
Marvel
had
movies.
a lot of nitpicks with it.
Yeah, I loved it though. I thought it was great. One of my favorite ones. I don't think it trumps Iron Man in my eyes. I think I like Avengers a little bit more as well. I think it's great. Number 2 is getting so much praise. It looks so good. And as being a comic book fan, there's certain things that are based on the Captain America property. A comic book fan knows certain things that are going to happen in this film, and looks great. I don't have that much experience with Falcon, but the few instances I've read about him in comics, seen him on the
He's
show.
Captain America's Robin.
Yeah, he looks really cool. I like to think of it as Captain America's War Machine. That's how I think of him.
Yeah.
Very, very better.
Bucky would be Captain America's Robin.
That's true. Very sorry, I was off on that.
Yeah, you were. Go
And Anthony
delete this
Mackie-
episode. We're starting over. That's
Anthony
horrible.
Mackie is a very well-known, established actor, a great actor, and I think this portrayal of the Falcon is it's almost kind of like the Ultimate Universe, right? They take everything and make it more realistic. And Falcon's cool in 616 continuity, but man, in that trailer, he
Gives
steals the
jets.
show. And
It looks fantastic. I don't think there's anything
Black
I've
Widow,
seen.
Nick Fury, you get Robert
Yeah.
Redford.
Nick Fury's being attacked in one of the scenes in the trailer.
The Shield Hellcarrier, as it's done
No.
a million
Oh, yeah,
times in the comics, as it's shown in the trailer, is falling from the sky for the first time in the movies. I mean, that's epic.
It looks great. I can definitely see, you said that it was kind of described as Avengers 1.5. Just from the trailer alone, having all those characters in there and the epicness of what looks like will happen, I can definitely see that. So, looks really, 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 really cool.
So that's it for our top 10 most anticipated movies of winter and spring 2014. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into our featured review of the episode, which was a film that was in all of our top 10s for this episode. And that is from director George Clooney, Monuments Man.
Want to get into the war?
Monuments, man.
I'm to put a team together and do our best to protect buildings, bridges, and art before the Nazis destroy everything.
How many men? 6. Jesus.
Well, with you at 7.
That's much better. So you want to go into a war zone with some architects and artists and tell our boys what they can and cannot blow up.
That's right.
Aren't we a little old for that?
Yes. We go through basic, and then we wait for orders.
Basic?
Little help.
Basic training. Oh, boy.
If you destroy an entire generation of people's culture, it's as if they never existed.
We got company. Frank, we gotta go!
That's what Hitler wants. And it's the one thing we can't allow.
So we get to shoot some Nazis?
That was from the trailer of George Clooney's latest film, Monuments Man, in which he stars in. We have Matt Damon in this film. We have Cate Blanchett. We have Bill Murray. We have John Goodman. We have plenty of very well-to-do established actors. And the film is based, actually, it says it's the untold story, but actually this story was told by author Robert Edsel, who wrote the book The Monuments Man. And basically the film takes place during World War II and is a group of art experts.
Yeah, I mean, there's architects, curators,
different jobs in the art field.
Yes,
they kind of come together to try to retain, regain, preserve the art that Hitler was taking, rounding up, and ultimately trying to collect for his Führer Museum. And if they were to lose the war, which they obviously did, destroyed.
Yeah, that should be saved after spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah, spoiler. Hitler loses. Nazi Germany falls. The Third Reich falls. But that they were planning to destroy, and it was these guys were tasked with the job of going over there and rounding up this art and preserving it. Because, they said art, the integrity of our art, defines who we are as a society.
Our culture.
Because
it wasn't just art. There were some sculptures. There was books as well.
It wasn't just paintings.
But they focused mostly on the paintings and the sculptures.
And it wasn't just national art. It was art that belonged to private collectors and private families as well that was still taken.
This film had a lot of hype. It was originally scheduled for a December 18th release, and it ended up coming out February 7th. Now, the thing is, this film was mentioned by many to be a shoo-in to be nominated for Best Picture, and it was supposed to be many people's favorite for Best Picture, but the film ended up being pushed back because the digital effects weren't finished in time for the December 18th release, and Clooney was questioned about this. He said, I want this movie, it's more about telling this story than winning an Oscar. He said, I'd rather get it right than not win an Oscar or be nominated than have it, kind of halfway done or not where he wants it to be and be rushed for award season. So I thought that was very good of Clooney to do that, and it said a lot about him as a director, somebody who would usually makes a lot of grab at Academy and a lot of run at Academy nomination and awards. I thought that was pretty cool. But so that's Monuments Man. So Jerry, what did you think of Monuments Man?
I thought it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. It was a different, it was a different kind of war movie. I mean, it was very different. It was a really different look at a different part of World War II. But it didn't, I'm trying to think, it didn't flow the way that I guess I was kind of hoping that it would.
We were talking about it kind of reminded us of American Hustle just a little bit. How this isn't spoiling anything, I don't think. The group is split up, not by any event. They just get sent to different parts of the world.
Yeah,
during World War II, different missions. And the first hour of the film feels very fragmented because it's covering these different missions. And these missions on their own kind of are okay, interesting enough story. But for me, in that first hour, the film didn't really come together as well as I believe Clooney was intending it to.
I agree. That's my biggest flaw with the film. It didn't flow well. Especially, like you said, the first hour or so when they're separated, a good bit of them are separated from one another. It feels disjointed. it don't. The scenes are good, but the pacing is just is jarring.
That
almost.
was a problem that we talked about with American Hustle. That each scene in American Hustle was just phenomenal. I mean, those actors were at the top of their game in American Hustle, but the movie just didn't feel like it flowed. I felt there was more flow to this movie than to American Hustle.
Because it kind of pulls it together in the second hour.
In the second act. But I didn't feel that. Now, don't get me wrong. This movie had an amazing cast.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fantastic. They picked really good people. The problem was, I don't really feel like anybody got that big of a chance to stand out and to really solidify a character.
Was that because, do you think that was a flaw of the film? Or do you think maybe Clooney, it was the way he directed it, not to have anybody try to overshadow one another, that we're just trying to cover this story? Because I felt like this was more or less trying to tell actually kind of what happened.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like American Hustle, also based on a true story, was overacted to pander to the Academy Awards.
You brought that up with American Hustle. There was a lot of chewing going on there.
Yeah, they were.
I don't think you can accuse this movie of over.
Absolutely not.
No.
I think the acting wasn't bad, but
not at all.
It wasn't memorable to me.
Yes,
I think you could honestly. I mean, it's a great cast. Again, good acting. I honestly feel like you could replace almost anybody in the cast, and it wouldn't really change the film.
That is what I felt like as well. And I have to say, when you have a movie with like Bill Murray and John Goodman in it, and George Clooney and Matt Damon and Bob Balaban, and to say you could replace them, just seems like there's something not right there.
Yeah,
I think one of the issues with this movie is as soon as you get these guys together, so George Clooney's assembling this team, and this is a movie where I don't really think there's that many spoilers in it. I mean, the biggest one is that Germany loses the war, and most of us know that. I hope you know that. But I think one of the things is that you'd be
surprised.
As soon as George Clooney starts assembling his team, of the artists and architects and curators, and then they go through boot camp, and that's a really neat scene when these older guys are like, man, they're willing, they're ready to go over there.
Yeah.
And not
kind
just
of glossed over that a little bit.
I didn't mind it too much because it let us get right into it. It is kind of like an opening montage, basically.
And it's voiceover.
You can imagine. They're wanting to get over there and preserve something that they've dedicated their whole life to, like learning about and studying and stuff. And they're getting a chance to go over and do something they probably wouldn't have been able to do.
They the basic training stuff's interesting. That goes
because they're all together.
Yeah,
but
then
as
we
soon as you get them, where like, okay, we're starting to see some relationships form and some personality going, and all of a sudden you split everybody up.
Yeah,
it just felt like these characters, or maybe it's the actors. I don't know. I won't question the talent of any of these guys, but they didn't play well off of one another. I feel that Matt Damon and Clooney definitely had that rapport.
Yeah,
whereas I kind of felt like it was just like, all right, we have all these great actors, we have this story just thrown together, and I'm not trying to question Clooney's direction because it wasn't bad.
Yeah, the chemistry, I agree. The chemistry wasn't the best, I feel like.
Not as good as the American Hustle, where it felt like these characters were just playing off of one another, and their interactions were definitely interesting.
Even compared to a lot of other war movies, I mean, once again, these guys weren't necessarily fighting together, but I mean, there were some pretty intense things, and some people do die in this. There were some characters I thought that you did see things form. There were some great scenes. Bill Murray and Bob Balaban had some good scenes together where
they did.
Even if they weren't like real spoken about it, you could see the way that they kind of, express their friendship and stuff.
Bill Murray to chew a little more scenery, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Everybody,
John Goodman as well.
Everybody must have practiced just really great restraint or something in this movie, and I almost feel like they could have been given a little bit more to work with. Some things that really, help define the characters more. Because I think Andrew's right. You could have taken any 5 or 6 really good actors and place them in this movie, and it wouldn't have necessarily changed things a whole lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have. And when I'm sitting there watching it the first hour, I love the stuff at Basic. That was interesting. But once we get going, once the characters are fragmented, I'll be honest, I was a little bored. It dragged.
Yeah, because you kept talking to me through the movie. And
it felt kind of, the movie felt a little bit long to me. I don't know. I felt that in American Hustle, but I felt like I was watching something that was really, really well done. I felt like this was put together pretty decent, but I don't know. That first hour dragged for me.
I didn't feel like it dragged too much. I didn't feel like I don't think I necessarily got bored.
We were seeing a double feature.
Yeah, but I think I almost got a little distracted because of the jarringness of going from one group to another. I almost felt like there was something missing in between some scenes. So, I don't know.
I really think this would have been strengthened by either keeping everybody together. That way you would have had more character interaction. Because a lot of times we saw characters interact with people that they only interacted with once or twice. And either that, or if they would have just split them into 2 groups. And I understand maybe that wouldn't have been historically accurate. I don't know how accurate this film is.
Right.
But I think for the film it would have been important. You still were expressing what they did, but you would have done it in a way that would have let them really grow their character more.
But it really does. In the second hour of the film, once they're all put back together, the film really picks up. Or most of them are put back together.
Fantastic by the end of the movie.
By the end. I mean, just watching them go in, and we have these kind of intense scenes, watching them go in and search these mines.
But do you want to go ahead and get into spoilers? We can.
Yeah, let's go ahead and, on that note, so we can get into some more of those intense scenes, let's go ahead and roll the reel forward for spoilers for George Clooney's The Monuments Men. So now we're in the spoilers for The Monuments Man. Andrew Stokes, go ahead and set that up.
So in the second half of the movie, everybody kind of gets back together, and they realize that all this art they've been looking for a majority of the film is in not towns like they believe, but they're actually been hidden in mines in Germany. So they go and track some of these down, have some success. They don't have some success. But the very end of the film is they have found this mine with a nice collection of art in it. And the townspeople have blown the entrances to this mine to stop the Germans from being able to destroy it. So that's good, but the Russians are on their way in. And they're supposed to be getting this town as part of an agreement for the end of the war.
The Marshall Plan is the name of that agreement.
That's wonderful. And the thing with the Russians is they're taking the art and keeping it for themselves, whereas the American and the Allied forces are taking the art and giving it back to who it belonged to, whether that's a museum, a monastery, or a private collection, whomever they can return it to, if they have the proof of it, I guess. And I don't know, even at the end, even at the very end, I wasn't that into it, I guess.
They were almost trying to beat the clock because the Russians were on their way.
And it was interesting.
There never was that sense of,
urgency.
My God, that they might not do it.
I never was worried. Never got my adrenaline going. It was interesting. I enjoyed watching it, but
the last painting they're looking for I thought it was a pretty sweet scene when it turns out they have the map spread out. They're looking in these mines. And they're like, we're missing this one piece. We need to go search this area of the mine. And Bill Murray's like, wait a minute. He flips the table over, and it's the missing piece of art that they had been looking for. I thought that was a pretty cool moment
that was
for Bill Murray's character. But yeah, at the end, there never really was kind of that, oh my God, this is high stakes. This has to be done. I mean, the war was over. And the Russians, if they got there, I'm pretty sure they would have been, ticked off because they have this binding agreement in the Marshall Plan. But would they have gunned them down?
Yeah, I don't think that would have happened.
I don't
the
think
Russians
that
would have taken
happened.
it for themselves, and they didn't want that to happen. They believed it should go back to where it came from, which is fine. But I don't know. Yeah, it's not like the Germans were coming to last remaining German soldiers to destroy it or anything.
If you were somebody who was really into art, an art student, art historian, maybe even just a really, really in-depth World War II historian, I think you would get a lot out of this film. Maybe get more out if you originally read the book. Maybe get more out of that. But I think I haven't read the book. It feels to me the book probably fills in some of these gaps that I felt the movie had. It does make me want to read the book. Whether I will or not, I don't know. There's a lot of books in my queue. But I don't know. Well, the book doesn't have Bill Murray. You just got to imagine in your head. Maybe
yeah.
you can write.
But again, you can remove them. You can imagine that is Bill Murray, or even not.
I kind of wonder, and I feel like I say this a lot for movies, but I kind of wonder what kind of movie this was intended to be.
Yeah.
Was it a drama? Was it a comedy?
Not a comedy, for sure.
But a buddy-ish type.
Exactly.
film.
Were they? I mean, there was some buddy-ish comedy moments, but that never got that much attention. But they were definitely there. But at the same
I think
time,
it was supposed to be real life. Think about
This
your
would be very
life.
serious.
Well, it's drama and comedy. It changes.
I understand.
Sure, but there wasn't a good
but
mixture.
when you're only seeing
That's true.
a hour and a half or 2 hour snippet
Oh, it was 2 hours.
that the director wants you to see, and it's kind of what I'm wondering. I just think maybe this movie just needed a bit more focus to it of what it was trying to do.
I agree.
I mean, if it was trying to do a documentary, that's one thing, and that's honestly sometimes what it felt like.
Yeah.
Was a little bit like a documentary.
It did, and it's kind of
It wandered, and I just don't feel like the actors had the potential to really, create or work with or play a character.
Excuse me. I wonder if the film actually may have been better if they had just focused on one group or one team. There might not have been enough material there, but if they could have maybe focused on Matt Damon's character, I don't know, maybe it would have been interesting. But
there's one thing I wonder. I wonder if this movie would have been released December 18th. Do you guys think it would have been nominated for Best Picture?
Not without special effects.
I mean, no.
But no, if it was finished, no, I don't think so. I mean, maybe I don't know what all has been nominated. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention, but I don't think
American Hustle, Her, 12
I haven't
Years a
seen some of those, so I really can't say. But even if it was, it wouldn't win.
I mean, I've seen a couple of the movies that George Clooney has directed. I believe I'm going to double check this. I believe he directed. No, he didn't. Okay, I thought he directed The Descendants, but he didn't. I don't know if this is George the first. No, he directed The Ides of March. I was trying to remember. I know I'd seen a film recently that he had directed. Ides of March had Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, who recently passed. It's the political movie with Ryan Gosling where George Clooney wasn't. It was really good. It was really well received.
I remember what happened.
It's a very dark movie.
I was supposed to watch it with someone. Never happened. I never got around to seeing it. I really need.
It's a great film. I definitely recommend The Ides of March over The Monuments Man. But Monuments Man, it wasn't a bad movie, right, guys?
No. I'm seeing so much negative. I mean, the critical reviews are really negative.
Yes.
But the movie was pretty crowded we were in, and the crowd seemed to react pretty well.
Some older women really got
we had this lady sitting behind us, and I mean, every time. I mean, once again, this was not a horror movie. This wasn't even this really wasn't a war movie either.
No.
But every time something would happen, she would scream.
And there was a gunshot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
It was one time where it almost sounded like there was a mouse on the floor with her screaming. I never heard it before. It was a little humorous.
It reminded me when we saw a bullet to the head, and that lady was behind us saying, "Get him!"
Oh yeah, but she was into it, and this lady was just really terrified or something.
So we dealt with her when we went and saw Monuments Man. There was a kid kicking the crap out of my seat when we were seeing Lego Movie. He was so excited. That kid was Jerry.
Yeah.
Just joking. But no, let's go ahead and give our rating. Is there anything else you guys want to say about The Monuments Man?
I think it sounded like we crapped on it a good bit. It was a good film.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if I recommend you go out and see it right away. You can. I mean, I always feel like if you never see it, oh well.
Yeah,
but
you're not missing Saving Private Ryan,
right? I mean, if you want to see it, go see it. You want to see it in theater, go see it. But it was a good film.
What would you rate it?
I would give it And a half.
And a half.
It was just, I don't know. It didn't do much for me. It was good what they did. I can look at it and say this was good, but it didn't do too much for me personally.
Jerry Reed, what would you rate this?
I would give it a good. I mean, there was nothing to me that was like nothing was like inferior quality or really shoddily done.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just feel like they just wasted
potential
because they had one of the best casts and they really could have done something spectacular.
I'll agree. I'll echo Jerry's statements. I'll confirm it at a good. I think they had a chance to make a truly great film, and they botched that chance to make a film that could have been the best movie of whatever given year it would have been released in.
Yeah.
Had the cast and the director lived up to all of their potential. But instead, what we get is a really good World War II period piece that kind of focuses on a different dynamic of World War II that we're not used to seeing, which that in and of itself is worth at least being aware of and being told. Because unless you've read the book, this truly is an untold story, which is not something you can ever say about World War II generally now. So it's all pretty much been told through various historians and whatnot. So I would confirm it as a good. So I think that's about going to wrap up this edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. Andrew Stokes, you want to give your interesting animal fact of the day?
Yeah, well, first, you can follow me on Twitter, @CriesJuggernaut. You can read my stuff on the website, thepicreview.com. I have one article up. You should read it. It's really good. I think it's not dated at all. I think it's very relevant to today's conversation. But, yeah, as you know, each time I'm on the podcast, I like to make it a little more special and give my Andrew's Awesome Animal Fact. All right? And this edition of Andrew's Awesome Animal Fact, there's a lot of interesting similarities between dolphins and humans. But what you may not know is that the average dolphin per day spends more time swimming in the ocean than the average fire ant. Pretty cool. Go impress your loved ones with that little fact. It's free of charge. There you go.
Fantastic.
Jerry Reed, where can we find more of your stuff?
As always, I am working day and night for articles on theepicreview.com. And make sure to check out Micro Mondays, where we look at various microfigure lines like Mighty Max and Star Wars Micro Machines.
And Jerry Reed, I know it's been a while since you went and posted on the Barbecue 17 Flickr account.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I hope you get some more photos up there. But
I will try to, but as spring's coming around, I'm getting more out to do pictures I really like in the woods and stuff.
Go check out, there's a link to it if you go on Who Are These Guys on his Flickr account. I mean, he has done some beautiful work with some of his photography with some of the figures he reviews. So I looked at that this week, and I just
appreciate
wanted to give that some pub. So as for me, The Real Brad Bell, you can find me at Twitter at The Real Brad Bell, REEL Brad Bell. You can find all of my writing on theepicreview.com. And once again, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out.
The Confirmed Epic Podcast is brought to you by Big Bad Toy Store. That's BigBadToyStore.com, the place where the Epic Review staff goes for all of their collecting needs.